Have you ever wondered why society treats a woman living without a man like she's broken, a curse, or just not good enough? She's not divorced, she's not widowed. She's just choosing herself. Think about it. A woman walks into a restaurant alone, and you can see the judgmental looks people throw her way. A woman walks into a party alone. Heads turn, whispers follow. If she's past 30 and not wearing a ring, suddenly she's everyone's charity case or their next gossip. Maybe she's too picky, they may say. Or worse, she must be difficult to live with. But what if the truth is much simpler and far more threatening to the status quo? What if a woman doesn't need saving? Today, we're unpacking the raw truth about what it's really like to be a woman who lives without a man. And trust me, it's not what you think. So if you're ready to challenge everything you've been taught about love, worth, and independence, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and let's break this lie wide open. Let's start with the first lie, that a woman without a man is incomplete. That narrative has been sold to us in every form: fairy tales, music, religion, culture, from Cinderella to church pews. We are fed the same spoonful of sugar-coated poison. You're not whole until you belong to a man. But here's the part they never told you. Some of the most whole, fulfilled, radiant women you'll ever meet are the ones who walked away or never chose to settle in the first place. Women who faced society's rejection and still chose themselves. They cry alone at night sometimes. Yes, but they also sleep peacefully knowing they're not waking up to a man who drains the life out of them emotionally, financially, and spiritually. Visualize this. A 42-year-old woman sits at her dining table with a glass of wine and silence. There's no man, no wedding ring, no baby pictures, just her books, and her peace. Yet outside her window, her neighbors whisper. Her mother keeps suggesting prayer meetings. Her colleagues call her independent, but say it like an insult. Society doesn't know what to do with a woman who refuses to define herself through a relationship. Because when a woman is unattached, she becomes unpredictable, and that's dangerous. You can't control her with threats of loneliness if she's not afraid to be alone. That's why she's treated like a glitch in the system. But here's the twist. Many women who are with men feel lonelier than those who are without. Let that sink in. Married, engaged, or committed, women cry in bathrooms, over dinner tables, and under shared blankets, because presence doesn't equal partnership. Some women lie beside men every night who don't see them, don't hear them, don't honor them, but they stay because leaving means shame. Leaving means questions. Leaving means labels. So who's really alone? The woman who walks freely through life without a man, or the one trapped in emotional isolation next to one? Let's move to lie number 2. The myth that women who live without men are bitter. This one's particularly cruel because it's weaponized silence. Society gaslights single women into believing that their anger, disappointment, or standards are symptoms of bitterness, not boundaries. It's easier to call a woman bitter than to ask why she's angry, because her answers might reveal too many ugly truths about how she was used, lied to, cheated on, abandoned, or forced to raise a child alone. Maybe she's not bitter. Maybe she's just awake. Maybe she's finally refusing to be used as someone's rehab center, emotional dumping ground, or ego boost. Now imagine this. A woman who spent 10 years in a relationship that hollowed her out. She cooked, cleaned, carried pregnancies, and refused to be cheated on repeatedly. When she finally leaves, she's called angry, bitter, and damaged goods. But if a man walked away from a woman who did the same, he will be called wise, strong, and a survivor. So ask yourself, why does a man's decision to walk away earn him respect, while a woman's decision earns her ridicule? This double standard is so normalized that many women would rather stay in hell than be labeled bitter for escaping it. Here's the plot twist you weren't expecting. The so-called bitter women are often the most liberated ones, because they've already been through the fire. They've already been lied to, used, and discarded, and instead of breaking, they rebuild. Not with false hope, but with truth. These women aren't bitter. They're bold, and when they speak, it rattles cages. Because every time they refuse to lower their standards, every time they say no, every time they walk away from a man who offers more chaos than care, they're rewriting the rules, and people don't like that, especially those still imprisoned by outdated scripts. Think about how often you've judged a woman you didn't understand, the aunt who never married, the friend who keeps rejecting good men, the colleague who seems too independent. What if her story was never told to you honestly? What if you only saw the headlines, but not the heartbreak? The truth is, many women aren't bitter. They're just tired of explaining themselves in a world that wants them either silent or married. They're tired of proving their worth with wedding photos and baby bumps. They're tired of pretending they're not enough. Let's talk about the third lie, that women who live without a man are selfish. This one cuts deep because it comes disguised as concern. You're always focused on your career. You don't want to sacrifice. The subtext, you should give up your dreams, your time, your body, and your mental health to be considered loving or worthy. But here's the raw truth. Many women raised entire families, supported broke partners, and bent over backwards in relationships that gave nothing back, only to be labeled selfish the moment they chose themselves. How is it selfish to reclaim your life from people who only came to take? Imagine a woman turning 38, no kids, no husband. She's sitting on a flight to Bali, sipping coffee, staring out the window, and somewhere, someone is whispering, she's wasting her life. But rewind 10 years. This same woman stayed in a relationship with a man who drained her finances, energy, and spirit. She left when she realized her kindness was being consumed like free fuel. Now she travels, she heals, she creates. But because there's no man in her pictures, the world reads her joy as emptiness. When did we become so brainwashed that a woman's joy needs to be verified by a male presence? Here's the twist. The women society calls selfish are often the ones who give the most. They mentor, volunteer, raise their siblings' kids, support their aging parents, without fanfare, without applause. But because they didn't pour themselves into a man, they're seen as incomplete. Let's be brutally honest. What people really mean when they call a woman selfish is this: you dared to live your life without making a man the center of it. That's not selfish, that's sacred, that's revolutionary. Because a woman who gives to herself first has more to give the world. And she gives it without resentment, without regret. But here's what no one wants to say out loud. Society doesn't hate selfish women, it hates women who can't be controlled. A woman who knows her worth, protects her peace, and doesn't beg for love is terrifying to a world built on female compliance. That's why the moment you start choosing joy over duty, silence over tolerance, and solitude over toxic company, the accusations begin. You're selfish, you're bitter, you're too much. But maybe you're just no longer available for emotional exploitation. Maybe you're done performing femininity for male approval. Maybe, for the first time, you're free. And then something happened that no one expected. Let's drag the fourth lie into the light. The one that says women who live without men are lying to themselves. That they cry themselves to sleep. That they smile on the outside, but secretly wish they had a man. Any man. This assumption is not just insulting. It's lazy. It assumes that every woman's deepest desire is to be chosen, even if the man choosing her is a walking red flag. Why is it so hard to believe that some women want peace more than they want partnership? That they would rather be whole alone than broken together? The desperation society projects onto these women often says more about its own fear of female independence than about the women themselves. Picture this. A woman laughs at a dinner table surrounded by friends. Her phone is dry, no boyfriend, no good morning texts, no one checking in. And yet, she's not shrinking. She's not bitter. She's not secretly hoping someone will slide into her DMs. She's full. That fullness didn't come from a relationship status. It came from learning to live, not perform. But if she posted a picture of that same dinner with a man beside her, the comments would explode with validation. So happy for you, finally. Why do we treat a woman's smile as real only when there's a man in the frame? Here's the unexpected twist. Many of the women being called desperate are actually being chased. That's right. Just because a woman is alone doesn't mean she's unwanted. Some of them turn down proposals, decline dates, block numbers, not because they hate men, but because they love themselves too much to repeat cycles that almost destroyed them. The irony. Some of these same women have more romantic options than they ever had before, but they've raised their standards. And now the world calls them too picky. When a man has standards, he's discerning. When a woman does, she's desperate and delusional. Tell me how that makes sense. Let's be brutally honest. What society calls desperation in single women is often just discernment. The ability to look at a man who offers chaos and say, no thanks. The courage to choose solitude over survival mode relationships. the wisdom to stop romanticizing struggle love. These women have learned, sometimes the hard way, that being alone is far better than being in pieces. They've seen what settling looks like, and they want no part of it. And that scares people, because a woman who doesn't chase love is powerful. She disrupts the narrative. She rewrites the script. She makes people question everything. The final lie is the most dangerous, that a woman without a man is not whole, that her life is a placeholder until someone claims her. This belief is buried so deep in culture that it infects everything: movies, songs, sermons, even the well-meaning advice of mothers. Don't wait too long, or you'll end up alone. As if aloneness is a punishment, a fate worse than death. But here's the raw truth. Some women didn't end up alone. They chose it, they fought for it, they bled for it, and when they finally got it, they found something no one ever told them was possible. Peace, not silence, not boredom. The kind of peace you can only taste when you're no longer shrinking to make someone else feel big. Imagine waking up in your own space. No anxiety hovering in your chest. No fear of walking on eggshells. No fake laughter to soften tension. Just you, your breath, your music. Your rhythm. That's not loneliness. That's liberation. And for many women, this realization hits like a rebirth. The first time they drink wine alone without sadness. The first time they dress up for themselves. The first time they feel safe in their own company. And yet, even in this joy, people start to panic. When will you settle down? You're getting older. Aren't you scared of dying alone? Spoiler alert. Some women are not afraid of dying alone. They're afraid of dying in relationships where they were never truly seen. Let's flip the script entirely. What if the problem is not women living without men, but men being threatened by women who no longer need them? What if society doesn't fear single women, but it fears what single women represent? Self-sufficiency, sexual freedom, emotional clarity, and economic power. A woman who doesn't need a man to survive breaks every system built to keep her dependent. That's why the moment she stops waiting to be chosen, she becomes dangerous. She becomes the story patriarchy can't control. The kind of woman young girls see and whisper, maybe I don't have to beg for love either. And that's what terrifies the world, women who choose themselves. So here's the truth you weren't supposed to hear. You are not half of a whole. You are not missing a piece. You are not unfinished. You are a woman that is already complete. The lie was never about needing a man. It was about needing permission. Permission to exist, to shine, to rise and to say no. But you don't need permission. You don't need saving. You don't need to shrink. And you damn sure don't need to explain your wholeness to anyone. If this truth stirs something inside you, if it burns, if it frees, if it shakes the foundation of what you were taught, then this video did what it was meant to do. Like it, share it, and subscribe. Because there's a woman out there still living under the lie. And she needs to hear this before she gives up her power.